everybody tells you that the first year of motherhood is difficult, doesn't mean it's true. You can actually have a pretty easy time in your first year as a mum, but you just have to take some really practical steps to set things up in a way that will make your life easy. Hi everybody, I'm TJ. I'm the mother to a beautiful 1-year-old daughter, baby Star, and I've actually had a really incredibly easy first year as a mother, and that's why I want to share with you in this video my tips and tricks that have helped me so that you can also have a really easy year. So the first thing I recommend is when you're pregnant, do your research. Research the baby products that are going to be the most helpful, especially for that first 3 months. So you have everything you need before you give birth. I then suggest you always stay about 3 months ahead of the next stage. So when your baby's 3 months, you're researching products for 6-month-old babies. When your baby's 6 months, you're researching products for 9-month-old babies. So you never suddenly like, oh my God, my baby's starting to crawl. I haven't thought about baby-proofing the house. I better baby-proof the house. You know, research baby-proofing the house well in advance so that you are on top of it. That will make the hugest difference to your sanity levels, to keeping your stress levels low so that you feel like you're on top of things. And then you can be a relaxed mum and your baby will be a relaxed baby and life will be a lot easier than if you're always a little bit behind, you never quite know what you're doing because you haven't researched. And the same thing I'll say about researching how to look after a baby. If you're someone who's had no experience with babies like I was, do some research. There are plenty of courses out there, just Google search it. You know, learn a little bit about breastfeeding, learn a little bit about changing diapers, changing nappies, learn a little bit about how to swaddle a baby. If you give birth in a hospital, ask the nurses in those first few days to show you everything that they know about feeding, nursing, swaddling, diaper changes, everything. I'd also say very early on in your first year as a mother, if you are breastfeeding, I highly recommend you just hire a lactation consultant. Even if you're having the greatest, easiest time breastfeeding, just hire one because they can make some tweaks to just make it even easier. And then your breastfeeding journey will be a lot easier than it would have. And since that's taking up so much of your time and energy in those first few months, you may as well make it as easy as you can. And the same if you have any other issues in those first few weeks as a mum, just call experts early. You don't think, oh, I'm just going to handle this, figure this out myself. And then it gets harder and harder and more stressful. Call the experts straight away. Just get the help you need so you can solve those problems early on and go back to a stress-free, calm situation of raising your baby. There's absolutely no shame in asking for help. I just really want to get this through to you. If you want to have an easy year as a mom in your first year of motherhood, you're going to have to become comfortable with asking for help because there might be times when you need it. Now you might have the easiest baby in the world and you don't need much help, or you may have a baby who's sick, or you may get sick, or you may be having nursing challenges or all sorts of things. Just get help the second you're having any issues. Post things in mothers groups, find out answers, hire experts. Take your baby to a doctor if you need to. Just don't stay at home and suffer and think, I'll figure this out myself. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. You've got too much to do as a mother. Get help when you need it so that your experience can be as supported and easy as possible. So I also really want to encourage you to plan to have a very quiet 4th trimester. The 4th trimester is the first 3 months after you give birth, and it's just as important as the 3 trimesters that your baby was in your womb. For the baby, they've just come out into the world. They're not fully here yet. They're still really in that womb space. So they need a really quiet first 3 months. They don't need to be running out and about and going out into the world and shopping. They just need a little cocoon for 3 months to start to accept that they're out in the world. But you as the mum, you need that quiet 3 months. Your body needs time to heal from giving birth, whether you had a vaginal birth or a cesarean birth. You need time to heal. And apart from the physical healing, you need time to adjust to the fact that you're now responsible 24/7 for this little human. And in the beginning, they're taking every second of your attention because they're constantly feeding, sleeping, feeding, pooping, feeding, sleeping, pooping, feeding. Like, it's just relentless. And if you're trying to also do other things like work or clean the house or sort of try and prepare fancy meals, don't do any of that in the 4th trimester. Now, of course, many of you watching will have to go back to work at some time during your first year as a mother. But in most countries today, you're entitled to a minimum of 12 weeks of maternity leave. And I really want to encourage you to think of that 12 weeks as your rest time. Think of it as the final stage of your pregnancy, your 4th trimester. And really, really rest during those 12 weeks. And if you're in a country that allows longer maternity leave, take it, make the most of it. Give yourself as long a period to recover and rest and build that early bond with your baby as you possibly can. I remember the first month my baby was born, it took me a whole month just to unpack my hospital bag. I had it sitting there at the foot of my bed thinking, I really should unpack this bag, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to be with my baby. It can get unpacked later. It's okay. And I let go of everything for that first month. And I let go for almost everything for the first 3 months. And it's made my experience so much easier. And I've heard this from so many other mothers. If you can give yourself the gift of the 4th trimester, those first 3 months after giving birth, just take the pressure off yourself. Do nothing other than look after your baby. So if you have a husband, get him to do the cooking. If you have a family member who can come around and help you clean up, ask them to. If you don't have that, you have friends, see if you can ask your friends to each come once a week and rotate through your friends to get them to just help you with a few things around the house. Or do what I did and hire a local teenager for a tiny amount of money at award rates, the minimum wage, to just come every now and then for an hour to just do your dishes, do your laundry, tidy up a bit. Just do what you can to hand those things to other people. And if you really, really can't get any help from anyone else at all, then just drop your standards. Drop your standards. Let the house be messy. Just eat toast for dinner. Basic food that requires no cooking, no work. Just drop your standards if you can't get help. Allow yourself to just look after your baby. Don't worry about getting anything else done in those first 3 months. So on that note, I highly encourage you to have your freezer filled with foods before you give birth. Even if you have to do a whole lot of cooking yourself when you're pregnant, to fill your freezer, do that. Or when you have your baby shower, you could ask your friends to each bring you a plate of food and you can put it in the freezer. Ask them to bring it in a storage container. So you just put it in the freezer, it's there. Or ask your friends to pay for a meal delivery service to bring you a bunch of meals. Stick them in your freezer. Do whatever you can to fill your freezer before you give birth, and then at least the first month you'll have enough food. Maybe the first 2 months you'll have enough food, so you don't have to worry about cooking. And if you can afford it, buy some things like protein bars. Fill your cupboard with those so that when you're really hungry in the middle of the night and you're breastfeeding, you have something you can just pull out. Breastfeeding cookies, protein bars, snack things that are easy to just have in your bedroom next to you. And get all of that organized while you're pregnant. Because you're going to need food, especially if you're breastfeeding, you're going to need food. You really want to be able to focus on your baby, feeding your baby, rather than on feeding yourself. And then I also want to really encourage you to set up some support for yourself, some help. And you can set that up while you're pregnant. You might want to organize a postpartum doula or a postpartum nanny, someone that can actually help you care for the child, especially if you're having twins or if it's your second child. You might want to organize a group of friends to rotate to each come one afternoon a week so that you've got someone there to help you with the baby. And at least have those things set up just in case you have a baby that's difficult, or in case you have a baby that's sickly, or in case you don't recover so well from the birth and you're needing some physical help with doing things. Because if you end up having an easy baby, you come through the birth perfectly, the baby's perfectly healthy, you'll probably find you don't need all those things you've set up. But if you've at least set them up when you're pregnant, you have peace of mind. And if the worst happens and you really do need that support, you've already got it set up. You're not trying to find support once you're dealing with a screaming, crying baby. You might find there's a local volunteer group that comes and helps out new mothers. A lot of places have that. You might find you've got friends in your life, maybe older friends who've already had their kids and they're missing being around a baby. They'd love to come and help you. It doesn't have to be an expensive option. You just got to think creatively. But I would set those things up in advance just in case you need them. And if you don't need them, you just cancel them. By the same token, I really want to encourage you to set up some support from other mothers during your first year. Find local mothers groups to go to. If you don't have local mothers groups, find online mothers groups to go to. There's even an app called Peanut where you can connect with other mothers. It's kind of like Tinder, but it's mothers meeting mothers for support on their motherhood journey. I really encourage you to find mothers groups, local mothers groups, online mothers groups, and Peanut groups where the babies are the same age as your baby. So on Peanut, you can actually search for the month your baby was born and connect with women around the world whose babies are the exact same age. And that way you can really cheer each other on. You can ask questions. You can say, my baby's not crawling yet. Are your baby's crawling yet? And everybody writes, no, my baby's not crawling yet either. And you feel better. If you've got a local mothers group of babies the same age, even better. Or if they're in a similar age group, maybe within the same 6 months. Even if you're a shy person or an introverted person, I still encourage you to find an online group, even if you just lurk and you don't ever do any posts. Sometimes just reading stuff can help you. And obviously, if you're more of an extroverted person, I really encourage you to write posts, go in person to some groups, make some mum friends, because you're going to need to share your experience with people who really understand. And yes, it's beautiful to share it with your husband or your partner or your family or your mother or your sister, but just sharing it with other women going through the same thing is really satisfying because they're really going to understand what you're going through, and you can sometimes get some advice and solutions that are really, really helpful. And if you can't find that, at least connect with women you know who've already had babies, who've already been through this, or who are older people you know who are already grandparents. Bring mothers into your life in as many ways as you can, especially in the first year, because that can just give you some support and some guidance that you need. And another tip I want to give you is to set really strong boundaries, and set them when you're pregnant if you can. And I'm talking about boundaries with family, with the people who might want to come and visit you all the time and intrude on your experience. Say to them, look, I'm having a very quiet 4th trimester. It's really important to me that I bond with my baby and I build connection with my baby, and I don't want to have to manage looking after other people. So just really set some clear boundaries with your friends, how often they can visit you. If you do have a partner, set them as a gatekeeper. Make sure that your partner's not letting everybody come and visit you. You can always change your mind later and say, I know I said I didn't want visitors, but I'm actually feeling lonely, I'd love some visitors. It's easier to do that, but make sure you've at least set the boundary. Because if you don't set a boundary, you can be swamped with people coming over and bringing food and wanting to see the baby. And they all want to see the baby, but you don't need people to come and hold your baby. You need peace and quiet and time to bond with your baby yourself and to learn how to look after your baby. So I just want to encourage you to set boundaries. The flip side of that is if you are a single mother, and maybe if you're a mother who's a little bit isolated, maybe you don't live in a big city and you're in a more isolated area, or you just don't know that many people, or your family doesn't live where you are. If you're feeling isolated, then I encourage you to do the opposite. I encourage you to reach out to people and ask them to come over, and do that in advance when you're pregnant. You say, look, I might be a bit isolated in my first few months. I'm here by myself. I'm a single mother. I don't know that many people. I'm really going to need you. I'm going to need you to come by and visit me. I'm going to need you to check in with me by text. I'm going to need you to visit me every few months. So you're going to know which of these two groups you fall into. The group where you've got a million family members, you know, going to swamp you, and the women who, I don't really have anyone around me, I'm worried I'm going to be lonely. And use your time during your pregnancy to set that up. So if you're in the swamped group, set some boundaries on how many people can come and how often. If you're in the lonely group, make some requests early, in advance, asking people to come and visit you. You need a certain amount of support, but you don't need to be swamped. And that's the balance that you need to find. And every woman's going to need a different balance. You know yourself well, but you don't yet know what kind of baby you're going to have. So do what you can to set that up in advance, but also stay flexible with it because it may change as your baby gets older. Really what I'm saying here is be in touch with your needs and learn to ask people to meet your needs. It's honestly one of the greatest lessons of becoming a mother, learning to identify your needs and ask people to meet those needs. You might have been able to get away with not doing that before you had a baby, but once you've had a baby, especially if you're a single mom, especially if you're a stay-at-home mom, especially if it's your first baby, you're going to need to learn to identify your needs and ask for people to meet those needs. Actually, I really need someone to come and clean my house twice a week because I don't have time to do it. Actually, I really need someone to share the amazing journey I'm on because I want to be able to share my excitement with someone. Whatever it is you need, you're going to have to identify that and then find people who can meet those needs. Another tip I'll give you that you can do in your pregnancy is do whatever you can to clear things up in your primary relationships so that your life is as drama-free as possible when you become a mother. If you were ever going to resolve stuff with your brother, do it now. If you're having issues with your partner, try and get some counseling now. Do as much as you can to clear the decks of emotional stress before you have your baby, so that once you have your baby, you're not trying to sort out problems with your mother or your siblings or your co-workers, and you can just focus on your baby and building a beautiful, loving relationship with your baby. Now, obviously, you can't ensure that every relationship in your life is perfect when you have your baby, but you may have had a few stressful people in your life that you've graciously let go of while you're pregnant because you realize that you don't really want them in your life once you're full-time momming and being very, very busy. Maybe there's some needy people in your life and you need to set some boundaries with. Maybe there's a few old friends that are no longer serving you need to say goodbye to. I would encourage you to clean up your other relationships as much as you can to the best of your ability before you give birth, so that your first year of being a mother can just focus on you, your beautiful baby, being in the baby bubble, not having to deal with dramas and other people's stuff. As much as you can, I encourage you to do that. Another tip I have is if you're someone with a lot of creative energy and you're worried what you're going to do with that energy once you have a baby, like are you going to go stir crazy staying at home with a baby? You can still use that energy even in your first year as a mother, even as a stay-at-home mom, even as a single mom. So let's say, for example, you're someone who loves to paint and draw and do artistic things. You can paint and draw pictures of your baby every day. Like maybe before you go to sleep each night, you draw a little picture of your baby. Let's say you're someone who loves to write and process your feelings through writing. You can keep a journal in that first year, or you could write a book about your experiences as a mother. Let's say you're someone who's very entrepreneurial and you're worried, how am I going to be a stay-at-home mom when I'm used to creating businesses and launching projects? You can create some sort of business about your motherhood journey. Let's say you're someone who's really hands-on, practical, and you like to do crafty things and make things. You can spend time in your first year as a mum making sensory toys and bottles and sand pits and being creative in your kitchen with baby food. If you're someone whose creative outlet is dancing, dance with your baby. Teach your baby about rhythm and music while they're on your body in a baby carrier. Once they're standing and walking, dance around with them. There's so many ways you can harness your creative energy and just redirect it into babyland. And then your creative energy, your mothering energy, your life force is all going in one direction. And you will be so much more fulfilled. You'll be a much more amazing mother. You'll be a happier mother. You'll just have so much more energy that way. So that's a really, really big tip. I want to just pass that on. And another tip, if you're someone who really likes to be out and about all the time, then prepare for that while you're pregnant. Like get a good car seat, research places in your local area that are good to take babies, where there's a good path for a stroller, where there's high chairs, where there's toilets with changing stations for your baby's diaper. Ask around from your friends, are there any baby-friendly activities that they know of? Get a good nappy bag, get a good diaper bag. Buy one you really like that you can use as a backpack. If you like to ride a bike, figure out how to ride a bike with a special baby seat. If you're someone who loves to walk and hike, do some research on good baby carriers. You can put your baby on your back and go for a walk or a hike. Do everything you can to smooth the path so that when you're there with your little newborn and you're desperate to get out of the house, you're set up for that. You just have to be organized about it. You have to know what you're doing. You have to do your research. And by the same token, if you're someone who likes to stay home, if you're a homebody, that's great too. So then set up different spaces in your house where your baby can play. Make sure you have friends coming to visit so you're not there alone all the time. Set up Skype calls or Zoom calls with family or with other people that aren't nearby so that you can have some company, have some interaction. Join some online groups. Make sure you still have some connection even though you're staying at home all day with the baby. Get help around the house, as I've said earlier, so that you don't have to spend all your time doing drudgery and you can just enjoy being in your home with your baby. It's really important to just know yourself because you're still going to be the same person once you give birth. If you're a homebody, you're still going to be a homebody. If you're someone who loves to run around out and about, you probably still will. So just make sure you're prepared for that, set yourself up for that, and allow yourself to be that, but just find a new way to be that with your baby. I hope you found these tips really, really practical and helpful. If you have, make sure to like the channel, make sure to subscribe. Watch this video here, you're going to find it really helpful. And I'll see you in my next video. So much love, so much baby dust. Bye!